This video is sponsored by Rocket Money. Y'all, we're making pumpkin mousse. Come on. Welcome to Highfalutin Low Carb, the almost weekly web series where we find and test the best low carb recipes this crazy internet has to offer. Today, we're tackling a seasonal favorite, low carb pumpkin mousse. Stay tuned. All right, guys, nothing says fall, at least here in the United States, like pumpkin spice. It is in everything. So in keeping with that tradition, as the outside air tends to get a little crisp right now, it's that time of season, we're gonna do a low carb pumpkin mousse battle. Now, I've taken two of the most popular recipes that I could find online. Most of these have kind of the same ingredients. There's just a couple of variations here, and that is the ratio of like pumpkin puree to the creamy goodness of the other things that make it a mousse, as well as the type of sweetener used. One of these is going to be a powdered sweetener, and one of these is going to be a liquid sweetener. So our first recipe comes to us from our friends over at Sugar Free Mom. This is Brenda's recipe. I believe this dates back to like 2013. This is Keto Low Carb Pumpkin Cheesecake Mousse. And our second recipe comes to us from the website joyfilledeats.com, and this is their recipe for keto pumpkin mousse. This last one here has the powdered sweetener, and the first recipe has the liquid sweetener, which is where in this case we're going to use some stevia. So let's get started on this first recipe now. All right, so let's get started now on this first recipe. Again, this is going to be the Keto Low Carb Pumpkin Cheesecake Mousse by Sugar Free Mom. As you know, I don't give exact ingredients here on this channel. These aren't my recipes. I'm just here to test them. The people that did do the hard work, they deserve the internet traffic. So I'm going to leave the link down here on the screen. It's also going to be in the video description below. If you're new here, this is how we work. If you're not new here, hi, welcome back. You know the drill. I'm just going to ask you to just click one button. It's in the video description below. It'll take you directly to both of these recipes where you can get full instructions and full ingredients. Again, I'm just here to test them. But both of these are going to start out with a cream cheese base, and then this is going to be pumpkin puree. If you want to know how much, you know where to go. Click the link below. Pumpkin, yes, has some carbs in it, so you have to be careful, and that's where most of the variation in these recipes come from, is the amount of pumpkin. Now, I enjoy the flavor of pumpkin. When I think of pumpkin desserts, I want to taste the pumpkin, not necessarily just the pumpkin spice. Which is just, you know, cinnamon and ginger and nutmeg and allspice and those things. Those are great, wonderful, warming spices, but if I'm eating a pumpkin dessert, I want to taste the pumpkin, and that's what it's about for me. So to our pumpkin and cheese, cream cheese, we're going to add the usual suspect, the pumpkin pie spice, and then a little bit of salt, just enough to sort of bump up the flavor here. Now, I just want to go back about the pumpkin puree. Again, this is just 100% pumpkin. It is not pumpkin pie mix, pumpkin pie filling. Anything labeled like that already has lots of sugar in it, and that is not what we want. We want just pure 100% pureed pumpkin. A store brand is fine. I find it works exactly as some of the name brands for much less money. Now, to this goes our sweetener. Instead of using a powdered sweetener, you're going to kind of want to shy away from granulated sweeteners regardless of what you're using. Those don't melt enough. You can kind of get a gritty taste, and that's the last thing you want in a mousse. So in this case, we're going to use a liquid sweetener. She says you can use a pumpkin spice flavored stevia or a vanilla flavored stevia, which I'm using here. And then I've also added in a little bit of vanilla extract to that as well. She puts vanilla extract in her mousse. So, using the paddle attachment on a stand mixer, or if you have a hand mixer, you can do it by hand, but we're actually going to be using our hand mixer both in this recipe. So we're going to cream these together slowly just so we get a smooth, creamy mixture here. But before I turn that on and make all this racket, I also need to use my hand mixer to cream some heavy whipping cream. So I've got some very cold cream here. This is a cup of heavy cream. So I'm just going to beat this to stiff peaks while this is also creaming. She gives an alternate recipe, and I believe she has a video where she creams her cream cheese and her pumpkin and all the other things, and then adds in the liquid cream later and whips that. But she says, I believe her instructions say, um, that's how she did it in the video, but some people said it didn't whip well for them. So for those, I'm just going to follow the old-fashioned directions and whip the cream separately so that we can fold it in. So I'm going to speed this up so you don't have to listen to all this racket, but you can follow along here and you'll see what we're doing with both of these. So I'll meet you right back here in just a second. Okay, so we've got, as you can see, our stiffly whipped cream, and this is ready to be folded into this. And I just want to make sure I've got this knocked down the sides, because you'll see in some of these stand mixers, things tend to hide around the side and around the bottom of the bowl, and you'll get through with your recipe and have a big old honk of cream cheese stuck somewhere, and that's just not fun or delicious. So we're going to fix that now. Let this run a little bit more. And then here is where you would fold this in, probably by hand by using a spatula. But since she already said that she sort of let this whip with, like here's where she would just pour cream in. We've already got our whipped cream already in stiff peaks. I'm just going to add this in a little bit at a time into our existing, and let this on the slowest speed gently sort of fold itself in. And from here, once this is well combined and well mixed, we can spoon it into some little cups or glass jars, or you can pipe it in if you are super fancy and this is going to be your, you know, say a Thanksgiving dessert or a tabled plated dessert. You want it to look great. You can certainly do that. Let me knock down where I've made a mess on my bowl here. It's that easy. We're kind of done. The cream cheese definitely gives it like a cheesecake flavor, and you can adjust the sweetness to your liking. That's what's nice about the liquid sweetener. If at the end when you taste this and it's not sweet enough, it's really easy to just go back and gently, quickly fold in a few more drops, or half teaspoon or whatever of the liquid sweetener. So I'm just going to let this finish folding really slowly here. Okay, so just for our purposes of testing here, again, you can put this in a pastry bag. You can probably do it, and I may wind up doing it for the thumbnail just to make it look good. Put it in a big gallon Ziploc bag. Spoon some of this into a bag, clip the corner off, and pipe it into a little serving dish so that it looks really, really nice. But for now, I'm just going to put these into a couple of small little ramekins, and I'm just going to reserve the rest of this in a large bowl for myself later for purposes of thumbnail and eating right now. And these are going to go in the fridge, and I'll just let them rest while we work on our second recipe. So I'm going to put this away so that I can save it, and I'll just clean up here, and I'll meet you right back here in just a second. But in the meantime, I need to give a thanks to the sponsor of this video, Rocket Money. Rocket Money is the personal financial app that helps you cancel subscriptions, lower your bills, and manage your money better. If you're like me, you've probably seen the ads about Rocket Money and how it can help you cancel some of these recurring subscriptions. And to be very honest and transparent, I didn't think that this service or app was for me. I've got a banking app on my phone from my bank. I go through things fairly regularly. I thought I had a handle on this. So I went and downloaded the app for free, y'all. Within 5 minutes of putting my stuff in, it does its little thing in the background. It found two recurring subscriptions that I am double paying for. The first of those is cloud storage for photos on my phone. Somehow I have managed to sign up for duplicate accounts under separate email addresses. I shudder to think how much money I have wasted because I'm only using one of those accounts. The second one was a streaming service, and one of those I was paying for the service, and I was also paying for a bundled package which that service was included in. So I've been double paying for these. So with just a few taps, I was able to cancel both of those recurring subscriptions, and it's saving me about $240 a year just on those two things. If you want to do the same thing, you can try it for free by going over to rocketmoney.com/highfalutin. There'll be a link in the video description below, so you can try that out for free. You can also take advantage of some of their premium services with things like smart savings and lowering your bills. You can take a picture of your bill and send it to them, and they will actually negotiate on your behalf to lower those bills. So thank you, Rocket Money, for sponsoring this. It's sponsorships like yours that keep channels like mine on the air, and for that I am truly appreciative. So again, guys, if you want to try it out for free, go to rocketmoney.com/highfalutin and download the app for free. All right, let's get started on this second recipe. Come on. All right, so we're back for our second recipe, and this is very similar. Again, it's a lot of the same ingredients, but just in different ratios and a different sweetener. And this is Keto Pumpkin Mousse by the website joyfieldeats.com. Again, the link will be here on the bottom of the screen. So we're going to start with actually the same amount of heavy cream, and this is going to go just to show you that there are a couple of different ways to do this. Instead of using a hand mixer and a stand mixer like the other one, we're going to do both of these in the stand mixer. This time we're going to use the wire whisk. All right, and so we're going to turn this up to pretty high speed, and this is going to beat into stiff peaks, and then we're going to reserve this into a separate bowl so that we can fold it in later. So I'm going to do that now and speed it up, and I'll meet you right back here as soon as these are whipped to stiff peaks. Okay, so our cream is now whipped beautifully, as you can see, and I'm just going to get rid of our whisk for now, and then this is just going to go into a separate bowl just while we wait for our other items to cream together. You don't want to beat the air out of it with the other things we're about to mix up. So let's move this to the side for a moment. And now in the same bowl, dirty and all, we're going to add in our cream cheese. And now for both of these recipes, we used room temperature cream cheese. The cream cheese needs to be at room temperature, and the cream, the heavy cream, needs to be cold. Okay, to this we're also going to add in the puree of pumpkin. There's a far less of this, so that's what I mean, like the ratios are different in these recipes. That is far less pumpkin, and you know that I just said I like a lot of the pumpkin flavor. So we'll see how this goes. To this we're going to add in a powdered sweetener. This is a half a cup of a powdered allulose sweetener. I like allulose. You can use whatever you're using at the moment. Powdered monk fruit, powdered blend, but it needs to be powdered and not granulated. To this, we're going to add in pumpkin pie spice, and I will tell you that this recipe has double the pumpkin pie spice as our other recipe. So if you like the pumpkin pie spice, that might be the way to go. But what noticeable thing that is missing from this is vanilla, and I tend to like vanilla in my sweet desserts. So we'll see how this turns out, though. But maybe between the two of these recipes, if you don't like one of them, you can combine the best parts of both. Mousse is pretty forgiving. As long as it's creamy and cold, it kind of comes together like a mousse. So we're going to add our paddle attachment, and then this is going to be creamed real quickly until this is nice and combined, and then I'll come back here and we'll slowly add in our cream, the whipped cream that we've already whipped, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to speed this up again, and I'll meet you right back here in just a second. Okay, so as you can see, our pumpkin mixture and cream cheese is ready to go. I'm just going to slowly add in a little bit of this whipped cream at a time, put this on the lowest speed it can, and just let this sort of incorporate itself. It's kind of hard to do this without getting your mixer a mess, but that's just the joys of a KitchenAid, to be honest. Okay, so we're almost ready. I'm just going to put this into a couple of little small bowls to make a couple of servings. Get off of there, Sally. Got whipped cream and cream cheese on everything in this kitchen. Okay, let's give this a couple of stirs by hand. And you can tell this has a lot more spice in it, the pumpkin spice, just by the color. It's less orange and more brown. All right, I'm going to take a couple of these little ramekins and serve some of this as well. And I can leave the remainder in this bowl. Now I can tell you this is a little thicker than our others because there's less pumpkin, so it's more, just by volume, it's more cream cheese than it is pumpkin. So it's a little sturdier. and a little thicker in its texture. So here we go with these. I'm going to put these in the fridge. I'm going to get cleaned up, and we're going to taste both of these, and I'll be right back, and I'll let you know what I think. See you in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, guys, we are back, and as you can see, we've got both of our mousse, our mousses, our mousses ready, our pumpkin mousses to taste. You can tell this one is our first recipe. It had more pumpkin in it than this one did. Let me see if I can make this camera focus on those. Focus on that right there. Yeah. Just a little more orange flavor in the one over here, the first recipe, a little orange color, I mean. I wonder if that translates to more pumpkin flavor. Now, both of these sort of say to garnish. I mean, obviously, these aren't very pretty the way I presented them here. You could, again, put them in a Ziploc bag and squeeze them out and pipe them out into a glass or a small little ramekin. Which is probably what I'll do for the thumbnail. But both of these say to hit it with just a little sprinkling, a little dusting, pumpkin pie spice at the end, just to give it a little bit of color and a little extra flavor, and you know, it just looks nice. So this is, let's go over the macros real quick. Our first recipe, the more orange colored one, the more pumpkin colored one, this is Keto Low Carb Pumpkin Cheesecake Mousse by the website sugarfreemom.com. I made 6 servings. If you make 6 servings, 1 serving is 277 calories. You've got 3 grams of protein, you got 26 grams of fat, 5 grams of total carbs, 1 gram of fiber, which makes it 4 net carbs per serving. Now, our second recipe makes 4 servings, and this is Keto Pumpkin Mousse by the website joyfilledeats.com. If you make 4 servings, 1 serving is 398 calories. You've got 5 grams of protein, 41 grams of fat. You've got 6 total carbs, 1 gram of fiber, so that's 5 net carbs. So a lot more calories in our second recipe than in our first recipe, and one less carb in the second recipe. So let's taste this first one. This has the more pumpkin in it than the other one, and the texture's nice. It looks good. Would look really good presented properly. Stevia. Texture's great. Pumpkin flavor, good. Could maybe use a little more pumpkin spice, the spice flavor mixture. But personally, I cannot get over the stevia, the bitterness of the stevia. Stevia is bitter to me. I'm not used to using it. If you are used to using stevia, I know that it probably gets to you or affects you a little bit less, but I instantly can pinpoint that that is stevia related. It's not terrible, but I would find an alternative sweetener. I would probably go with an allulose or a liquid, even if it was liquid monk fruit, something like that. But good pumpkin flavor, strong stevia flavor. Okay, let me get a glass of water. This is our second recipe. This has a lot firmer texture because it's more related to cream cheese, a lot creamier, also a whole lot more calories because of that. A very minuscule amount of pumpkin. It's just 1/4 cup of pumpkin for this recipe. So you're really only getting a little bit of pumpkin. So let's stir up some of that pumpkin pie spice I put on top. And this has the powdered allulose as the sweetener. And what does it taste like? A lot creamier. Also, a lot more fat. The sweetener in that one makes that so much better. However, I can taste almost no pumpkin. I can taste almost no pumpkin. It had double the pumpkin pie spice. I can tell that. It's good though, because it's sweet. Here's what I would do. If this were me, both of these are good. Neither one of them are bad. I wouldn't kick either one of them out of bed or off the table, as it were. Here's what I'd do. I'd go with the first recipe because the vanilla adds a lot to it. I would bump up I would double the amount of pumpkin pie spice, And I would substitute the stevia for powdered allulose or a powdered sweetener of your choice, if you are sensitive to stevia like me. I also like that this recipe has more pumpkin flavor. So keep double the pumpkin, double the amount of the pumpkin pie spice, and switch over the sweetener. Keep the vanilla. And so just doctoring up that first recipe really would make that almost perfect for me. So there you have it, folks. Low carb keto pumpkin mousse. Yeah, pretty easy, really fast, really easy. And if you took a little time to make it presentable, would look amazing, especially on a dessert table for a meal. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I say it every time, these videos are a way for me to maintain my low carb way of eating, and looking in the end of that camera helps keep me honest. So thank you for coming along for the journey. Going to ask you a big favor: hit the like button, hit the bell button, hit the subscribe button. It's just 3 easy things you can do that don't cost you a dime, that help this channel out a lot, and help share this video with other people who are like-minded and would like similar content. Also, follow me over on Facebook and Instagram. It's just Highfalutin Low Carb at both of those places. I talk a little more frequently and more freely over there. So if you want to get more of this content, you know how to find me over on both of those platforms. Lastly, also thank you again to the sponsor of this video, Rocket Money. I say it all the time, sponsorships aren't why I do this, they're how I do this. So thank you, Rocket Money, for keeping this channel on the air with sponsorships like yours. And lastly, my rock stars. You're going to see their names. You see them here all the time. These are truly my rock stars. These are my Patreon members. If you want to know what Patreon is, think of it like the tip jar for the internet. Lets people like you, who enjoy what people like me do here on YouTube. You can give $1 or $2 a month just to keep the train on the tracks and see your name right here among all these wonderful people. So be sure to go to patreon.com/highfalutin low carb. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next video. And remember, today is a great day to have a great day.